Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. We're excited to be presenting the next topic in our webinar series, and today that will be optimizing your Microsoft 365 A5 licensing. So my name is Jessica Benelli. I'm one of the account managers here at Ferrilli. And before we get started, just wanted to go through a couple of housekeeping items. First, you should have joined this meeting on mute. We do ask if you could stay on mute to reduce any background noise. We would appreciate that. If you do have questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat box and we will address those at the end. We do have time for questions. And this session will be recorded, so feel free to take notes, but know that it is being recorded and we will send it to you early next week. Our presenter today is Erik Potzmann, so I'm going to turn it over to Erik to introduce himself and kick off the session.
Hi, everybody. My name is Erik Potzmann. I've been working in higher ed IT for just about 20 years now. Started off doing help desk stuff, moved my way up into system administration work, Office 365, Active Directory, Exchange, that stuff. So I've pretty much stayed mostly in the Microsoft stack. And I've been doing a lot of Office 365 work. And we get a lot of questions specifically about what does this license mean? Okay, so I know that A5 is better than A3, but what exactly does that mean? And that's what we're here to talk about today, to hopefully allow you guys to, in your organizations, to, maximize the money you spend, maybe consolidate, and really benefit from that license that you purchased or may be purchasing soon. So let's start off and talk about the core services here. Pretty much everybody knows these. These are the most popular ones that everybody's already familiar with. Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and OneDrive. Not much needs to be said about these because they are, the ones that pretty much everybody needs to know about. The next thing you get is the Microsoft Office Suite. There's several different versions that you get access to. The first one is the web or online version of it. Basically opens everything in your browser. You do get the desktop client that works on both Windows and Mac OS using click to run technology. It allows you to actually through Office 365 admin panel, customize the installation when users download that. So you can pick the options and things that they get. It also uses virtualization technology to run the Office applications in a self-contained environment. So you can run them side by side with earlier versions, which is kind of nice. 5 installs per OS are included with your license. Then you also get the Office mobile client. Again, it's the same thing, same apps. And again, you get 5 installs per device or per OS that you get included. The next thing is one that's really kind of taken off as of late, especially since COVID really promoted the remote work kind of stuff, is Microsoft Teams. Teams is really an organizational collaboration platform that allows you to access anything or most of the things that are in Microsoft. When you create a team, you get a Microsoft 365 group, a SharePoint online site with document library, an Exchange Online mailbox, an email address, and calendar. You also get a OneNote notebook and the ability to tie into other Office apps like Planner and Power BI. I like to call Teams the hub that connects you to all the different things in Office 365. You also get Teams for Education as an educational institution. This extends Teams' abilities to include academic-specific extensions, which are OneNote class notebook, assignments, and professional learning communities. You do also get Teams phone system, which allows you to actually replace your existing on-premise PBX system, or if you've got another cloud system, you can consolidate on Teams, the phone system. You get things like the auto attendant, call queues, music on hold, call forwarding, simultaneous ring, group call pickup, forward to group, and other features that you'd find in an enterprise phone system. In order to really fully make use of this, an additional calling plan or session border controller is required for inbound and outbound calling, but the actual phone system is what you get. Just the calling plan is something you need to add. You also get team live events. This is for things like what we're doing right now. It's one-to-many communication where you have hosts leading the interaction and audience participation, basically to be the content shared by the host. You can record them and allow moderation and QA. Live events in Microsoft 365 support a lot of different kind of production scenarios. So that an event produced in Teams using a webcam, or even a event produced in an external app or device with some of the more professional suites of software and hardware. Live events add roles to produce a better experience for users, so that you can have multiple presenters, you can have your host, and you can have moderators as well. You also get some educational apps. Most people don't really realize that they get these. These are some of the few ones that kind of get forgotten. Take a Test is one of them. It can help meet needs. It creates a browser-based lockdown environment for online assessments. And you also get Minecraft for education. It's a special version of Minecraft that teaches STEM skills, problem solving, and collaboration. Speaking of collaboration, here are the suite of collaboration services that you do get in Office 365. A lot of people don't understand some of these items, and they may have never even heard of them. Yammer is one of those that kind of comes to mind thinking of that. It is a social networking platform that your users can use to build communities, share knowledge, and engage with one another. It's kind of like an internal Facebook or LinkedIn kind of thing. That's really what that's there for. You also get Skype, which is an instant messaging and video telephony application. This is currently being phased out in favor of Teams, but it is something that you get in case it is, something that you wanted to use, or maybe you already have and want to upgrade to the online version. You also get Stream, which is a video hosting services and allows you to manage and organize your video content in a safe and secure way, much like OneDrive is for files. Stream is for videos. Things like Teams recordings automatically get put there, and you can put controls on who gets to share what and how they're done. You also get Planner. This is a simple way and visual way for teams to organize work. You create plans, organize and assign tasks, share progress, and collaborate on content. What's provided is a task board and charts page, schedule view, and it integrates throughout Microsoft 365. So you can see a lot of these things in all the other apps that you use, like Teams, for instance, or attaching OneDrive files, seeing the tasks that you have in Outlook, etc. Sway. Sway is an online app that is a similar tool to PowerPoint, but it differentiates itself by focusing in on quick and easy content generation with simplified sharing. So it's a little bit more of a dumbed down version of PowerPoint that's just meant to get things done quickly, easily, and shared out effectively. You also get Microsoft Bookings. It's a web-based calendar that syncs with Outlook to optimize availability and give customers and end users a way to book time that works best for them. You also get Find Time, which is kind of similar. Bookings is where you have an availability and people will schedule or pick a time and then go from there. Find Time allows you to create meetings, and it's a plugin for Outlook. And basically you create a poll and select some times that work for you. People vote on it, and then it comes back once everybody's voted. Next, we're going to get into data services. So the first thing we're going to look at is Microsoft Forms. This is something that you can use to quickly and easily create custom knowledge checks, surveys, polls, questionnaires, registrations, and it connects in with a lot of the other services. Again, it's really the power of Microsoft's platform is the interconnectedness. Power BI is the next application that we'll look at. It's a cloud-based suite of business analytic tools, let you connect to and visualize data with speed, efficiency, and understandings. The thing that you get with the Microsoft license, because there's several different versions of Power BI, everybody gets Power BI free, pretty much on the Office 365 platform. But when you get the A5 license, you get, actually it's Power BI Pro. And so when you do that, you get the following items. The 1 gig model size limit, you get 10 gigs of storage space. You can refresh your data up to 8 times per day. You get access to the desktop version of Power BI. It allows you also to use embedded APIs and controls. You get better visuals through AI learning that helps you create those visuals. And then metrics for creation, consumption, and publishing. So it's really a step up and features that you get over the Power BI free. Power Apps is the next thing, which kind of is similar to Power BI, but for applications instead of data. It's a suite of apps and services and connectors. It's a data platform as well that allows you to rapidly develop and build your custom apps. So if you wanted to or had need for small apps that you can push out to the environment, you can use Power Apps to do that. Power Automate is a platform designed to automate your business processes for simple and effective items. I've used Power Automate to do things like automate the user creation process or the initial password send out process. There's a lot of different ways that you can use Power Automate to basically update and automate your business processes. So both Power Apps and Power Automate are designed with a low-code drag and drop interface with lots of built-in templates and connectors that really are what makes it quick and easy to use. You don't have to do a lot of coding. It does have the interface for that, but you know, most of it's just drag and drop. I want to do this, let's move it here, let's make the flow this way. You also get My Analytics. It summarizes how you're spending your time on Office 365 and then suggests ways to work smarter or features that you might be able to take advantage of. It's kind of a how to better utilize your Office 365 time. Next up on the items that we have here is for endpoint management. And this is where we get a lot of questions because people don't necessarily know what they get, or maybe it's something that they want to get into because they haven't really started quite yet. So the first item is Microsoft Intune. If you're familiar with SCCM or System Center Configuration Manager, this is the next evolution of that. It's a cloud-based service that focuses on mobile device management and mobile application management. You can control how devices are used. This includes mobile phones, tablets, laptops, computers, and you use it by configuring specific policies to manage settings, updates, and applications. The next service is Defender for Endpoints. It's a centrally managed antivirus, anti-malware solution. What you get is Defender for Endpoints Plan 2. And so this expands on Defender for Endpoints by adding detection and automated response, discovery and inventory, better analytics, vulnerability management, advanced hunting, and access to Microsoft's threat experts. The new term that's been coming out for this kind of product is EDR, endpoint detection and response, and it's the next evolution of your basic antivirus software. The great thing about Defender for Endpoint is it does have a lot of connectors into the other parts of Office 365. So it can leverage a lot of extra data that some of the others can't. Like it also understands what's going on with your logins in all of the different services. It also knows what's going on with your email and the threats that are coming in there. So it really is a very good tool. Defender for Device Guard is a combination of two features. There's application control and application guard. Application control is basically a zero trust option. Applications must earn the trust, and security threats are mitigated by restricting the applications that users are allowed to run, and that the code, any code that runs in the system for. Application guard is hardware isolation. Anything that's an untrusted file, website, or whatever is opened in an isolated Hyper-V container. And this separates the host from the operating system and allows basically that barrier to happen so that should there be an issue, the attacker cannot, is prevented from accessing your enterprise data. The last item on the list is Universal Print. It's a modern centralized print solution that can manage your printers and infrastructure through Office 365. Some of it can be headless if the printer is Universal Print enabled. Otherwise, you can deploy a small connector for your printers that are on site and then deploy them through Intune or any Azure AD connected device that will be able to find and select the printers that are in your organization. It's pretty cool. Then you also get identity services. Maybe you're familiar with Azure AD. This is the built-in identity management service for all of Office 365 and Azure. If you have anything in Office 365 or Azure, you have Azure AD. What you get with the Microsoft 365 A5 is Azure AD Premium P2. This gives you dynamic group assignments, so you can build groups by attributes or other criteria so that you don't have to manage the group anymore. You can just let it autofill and populate on its own. You get identity protection, conditional access policies, and then risky sign-in policies or risky user sign-in policies, as well as password write-back for your on-premise AD. This allows you to leverage self-service password reset to do, just that for all of your users. You also get enterprise single sign-on capability through Office 365. Most people don't realize that if you do have Azure AD, you've also got a single sign-on that's fairly easy to set up and already ready to go. You can use an unlimited number of applications that support SAML2 sign-on. Azure AD Premium P2 adds other forms of single sign-on, including integrated Windows authentication, and as well as an application proxy for on-premise applications. You also get privileged identity management. This is fairly new and not everyone is familiar with the concept of privileged identity management. But what that does is allow you to have time and approval-based activation for privileged accounts. These are your administrators or people with access to sensitive data. So that helps mitigate any risks of excessive, unnecessary, or misused permissions and access. You also get Defender for Identity. It extends the protections and logging capabilities of Office 365 to your on-premise Active Directory environment, which allows it to better manage, identify, detect, and investigate on threats, compromised identities, and other malicious actions directed at your organization. You also get Insider Risk Management. This is a compliance solution that helps minimize internal risks by enabling you to detect, investigate, and act on malicious and inadvertent activities in your organization. Some of the stuff we were talking about before was security services, but now here are more of the security focused services. You do get Defender for Office 365. This adds advanced protections to Exchange Online, Teams, OneDrive, and SharePoint Online. It was formerly called Defender ATP or just ATP. Includes the safe links URL rewriting, so things URLs anywhere in Office 365 get checked for maliciousness, and that's actually done in a very cool way. If it's unknown to Microsoft as being a safe link, it will actually send something out to go check and try and actually see if it's good. You also get advanced anti-phishing detection and anti-malware scanning. You also get a phishing malware awareness and training campaign module, as well as automated investigation and response for threats and compromised users. Makes securing your environment and keeping it secure a lot easier. You also get Defender for Cloud Apps. This is a cloud access security broker that will help provide visibility, control over data and analytics that you use to identify and combat cyber threats across all of your cloud services. This leverages connectors to your firewall and Defender for endpoints to include discovery and analytics for non-sanctioned applications in the cloud or installed on your devices. You also get the customer lockbox feature. This is a safety mechanism that Microsoft Azure provides for customers to review and approve or reject data access requests from within Microsoft or its representatives. So basically, if you're doing a service request, whoever is asking to or wanting to get into your tenant, they actually have to get approval for that. I know a lot of people may remember the SolarWinds breach at Microsoft. I think it's probably a year or two ago. And this would basically prevent, should have the hackers gotten into Microsoft and gotten access to Office 365 data, this would prevent that. You also get access to compliance services. So the first thing you get is the Microsoft 365 DLP. These are policies to how you monitor threat or the activities users take on sensitive items at rest or in transit and in use. And then you can automate a response to take protective actions against that. For example, using it to prevent users from sending out credit card numbers in email, that kind of thing. The next layer for that is Azure Information Protection. This builds on DLP, the foundation that DLP has, and expands the capabilities. It allows your organization to discover, classify, and protect documents and emails by applying labels. P2 adds the ability to include, you get Azure Information Protection P2, which adds the ability to include on-premise servers, as well as anything in your Office 365 with automatic content labeling instead of manual labeling. P1 is required, or just does manual labeling, so people would have to select the correct sensitivity label or data classification. You also get advanced auditing. This retains audit records for stuff in Exchange, SharePoint, and Azure Active Directory for 1 year. Audit records generated by other services that they basically get the default retention policy of 90 days. So this really does help you look back and see if there's a pattern of use or misuse for much longer. Also allows for the creation of customized audit log retention policies for longer periods of time. You also get the Office message encryption. This allows users in your organization to send and receive encrypted email to people inside and outside your organization. You also get EDiscovery Services with the Microsoft 365 A5. Most of this you get as a base, but again, with the A5, it expands on that. So litigation hold, this preserves emails and files for users who are part of legal action or subject to EDiscovery. You also get content search. This is a basic EDiscovery tool that allows you to search and export content within Office 365. What you do get here is advanced EDiscovery, provides an end-to-end workflow and case management for EDiscovery. It allows you to preserve, collect, analyze, review, and export your content for internal and external investigations. It also allows you to actually hand over the ownership of this to maybe your legal team or security team for notifications, and they don't have to be global administrators to do that, which is pretty nice. And then this is another big one for the Microsoft 365 versus the Office 365 A5. What you do get with the Microsoft 365 A5 is Windows licensing and excuse me, the CAL licensing, the client access licenses. So in your licenses, everybody gets that it has an Office 365 A5 license. They are licensed for Windows 10 and 11 Enterprise. However, the student use benefit does not include this. What you do get is CAL's client access licenses for Exchange, SharePoint, Skype for Business, Windows Server, that's the big one, SCCM, the Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager, and then System Center Endpoint Protection. Microsoft 365 is pretty much everything in the Office 365 version, but more. You get the license bundles, and then also the features of mobility and security licensing, which is what's on top of what you would get from Office 365. The last thing we'll talk about here is expanding into Office 365. These are things that you can take to help actually leverage more of the platform and the things that you've used. Two of the biggest ones that we've used, or at least have seen a lot of interest in, is Azure Infrastructure and Windows 365. So Azure Infrastructure is a whole host of products that can take your existing infrastructure, or existing and new infrastructure, to the cloud. Azure AD is the base, so it helps create a seamless and integrated experience for users and administrators. You get services like DNS, virtual machines, virtual networking, application proxies, and VDI infrastructure, or virtual desktop infrastructure, and more. The key strengths of Office 365 and Azure is the way that all of these products build on one another to provide a greater value than all of the individual things themselves. Windows 365 is a securely streamed and personalized Windows desktop with apps, settings, and content from the cloud to just about any device. This virtual desktop infrastructure leverages and integrates with all of the Microsoft Office 365 technologies. We've seen customers leveraging the service to deliver things like lab computing and organizational applications to both students and staff wherever they are. So it enables a lot of remote learning, remote lab opportunities, that kind of stuff. And now we have time for Q&A, so we can open the floor for that.
Thanks, Eric. It looks like no current questions in the chat window yet. Greg Kane made a comment that Defender improvements are one of the points we're interested in with A5 licensing. So thank you, Greg. So if anyone else has questions, please feel free to type them in, or you can come off of mute and ask them live on the call here.
And while people are typing up their questions, Eric, we have the capability to audit what's being used and not being used if someone is already using an A5 license. Is that?
Yeah, you can actually see a lot of through the analytics of Office 365, what applications are being used, who's signing in, how all of that is being used, so that you can actually understand, if you've given everybody access to it, you can understand what is being used and really by who and how they're kind of using it. So there's a lot of those analytics within Office 365 to help you understand how your environment's being used.
And we do have another question. With OneDrive or Stream, are there storage limitations?
There are storage limitations. Individual users get 1 terabyte. You can purchase more space. The organization itself gets 100 terabytes plus 10 gigabits per licensed user. So the more users you have, and the student use benefits actually count towards this. So most organizations, or at least school organizations, get more storage than they really can actually use, unless you're doing crazy things like trying to use SharePoint for backups or something like that.
Thank you, Eric. Can you protect Apple devices on Defender?
I don't know if they have an Apple client just yet. I'll have to check in on that. Maybe we'll get back to you with an answer there. I know previously the product that it was using, that it was based on, which is the System Center Endpoint Protection, that did have a Mac client. However, the last time I used it, it was in its infancy and it was very basic and did not include some of the reporting features. I don't know if the Defender for Endpoint on Mac really has the same hooks that you get on Windows. So I don't know if it has all of the EDR features past just basic antivirus and malware.
Great. Any other questions? And again, feel free to come off of mute if you'd like.
Hi, yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
So we are currently considering getting we are currently on A3 and considering getting A5 security, not the entire A5, but just the A5 security. So we're wondering if we are missing out on anything if we just do A5 security and not the entire A5. I mean, we know that Power BI is probably one, which we are currently not interested in pursuing. So other than that, is there anything major that we'll be missing out if we just do A5 security and not the entire A5?
Really the Windows licensing would be one thing that you'd be missing out on, and the the client access licenses. There are a few minor versions.
Those are not in A3? Sorry.
The Microsoft 365, yes, you do get those in the A3.
Okay.
Some of the features, like in the data services, like I don't believe you would get the Power BI Pro. That is an A5 feature that you would need to get. I think that's about it majorly. It's mostly the data services piece.
Thank you.
The other thing you might want to look at is the combined cost, because I know I don't know the exact cost of the E5 mobility and security, but from what I remember on the educational pricing, it's about the same cost, or maybe the combined cost of the A3 plus the E5 is about the same as what you get with the Microsoft 365 A5 license.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, the cost is obviously. Thank you. And just probably related, I don't know. Is there any difference in Teams, like the audio conferencing in Teams, like the ability to dial in to Teams?
No,
meeting?
That would be included in your calling plan.
Okay.
That is when you set up the Teams phone. We've done this for quite a few customers as of recent. So the license feature that you get built in with the A5 license is the Teams phone system, but not any calling plan. So if you wanted DIDs for your people or long distance and that kind of stuff, the ability to actually dial out to the public phone system, that would be part of the calling plan. And so each user would have to have a calling plan, or you would need to engage in a what's called an SBC to utilize your existing phone lines. The session border controller is basically takes your existing phone lines and then converts them into traffic that gets sent to Microsoft.
I was wondering about the audio conferencing. So I recently read an announcement from Microsoft that audio conferencing, the ability to dial in to my Teams meeting, is now enabled for everything, including, is that including A3, or that need to be on A5 for that?
I haven't had a chance to review that, so I can't comment.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the group? While we're waiting, in case anybody has any last minute questions, just as a FYI, you can always find Ferrilli's past webinar recordings on our website, ferrilli.com/what's happening. Additionally, that's where the upcoming webinars or upcoming conferences where Ferrilli might be are listed. So definitely bookmark that page and go back to it often. We're always updating content there. And if you have any questions on today's webinar or anything in general for Ferrilli, you can always reach out to us at info@ferrilli.com or call our 888 line. Additionally, if you have topics of interest that you'd like us to present on, we're always open to new ideas and suggestions. So again, you can email those in at info@ferrilli.com. So we appreciate everybody's time today. I don't see any additional questions in the chat. But again, if anything comes up after the fact, please feel free to reach out to us. We will be sending the recording early next week. And we appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Have a great rest
everybody.
of your day. Thank you.